Hey, good morning, everybody. Case Hits Collectibles here, and I'm kind of like hesitant to share this video or information, but I figured what out. If I'm trying to be transparent with what I'm looking at and what plays I'm looking at and the market parts that I'm watching, well, I've heard a lot of people talking about the first 8 sets or the first 4 sets, etc. And my opinion is that they're talking about them because the current 4 sets have breached that $200+ per box. Some well over that, like Fable, right? Well over Fabled. Wilds Unknown, pretty much higher than that as well. So the current 4 sets with the iconics, everybody knows, cat's out of the bag. Iconics and the massive enchanteds and the epics are driving value on these boxes. There's not enough supply to go around with the new rush of demand. However, I do think if Ravensburger is capable, they should probably reprint some of those sets because they're in high demand. They need them for set rotation. They need the cards. The players need the cards. Collectors are obviously collecting the cards. Box prices are kind of mooning. When you get above $250, $300 a box, like that's pretty unobtainable for a lot of people. So that being said, people have shifted a lot of their attention to the first 8 sets, and people, obviously the first set is the first set. The first chapter is the first chapter. It's hard to argue that this isn't probably a really good, super long-term play or whatever. I get that. That's kind of an obvious one. However, if we're looking at this right now, cases are pretty much, I don't know, at $2,800. I don't know about you, but I don't feel too comfortable dropping $3,000 in something that is at the very top of its parabolic move. Could it go higher? Sure, but there's a lot of risk right there. There's a good 25 to 50% risk downside pretty easily if we just have a slow market for a few months that dries out all these people that are on credit cards and personal loans doing all this stuff. So I'm looking here, right? We got $500 boxes. We have $3,000 cases. We're looking at a case premium of $1,000. So what I did is I went through all 8 sets, the first 8 sets, and I went ahead and added a little math to it. So what I did is I took the booster box current case, booster box current value or current prices, and this is based off of like sales and such. And then I took their individual booster box prices. I went and I calculated the current value of the top 10 chase cards for all 8 sets and put them down here. Then I tallied up the total value of all 10 chase cards, the average value if you were to pull one of the, the average if you were to pull like one of the top 10 out of your product. And then the difference between the box prices. This is the difference between the box price and the average top 10 value. So if it's negative like this, that means that you're paying more for a box than the average value of the cards inside it would be if you pulled one. So for instance, in terms of the first chapter, right? Booster box is $500. The average value of the top 10 chase cards. I mean, granted, you could also hit one of the really low. You could hit one of the bottom 10 and be really screwed. But the top 10 is $342. Which means that you have $157.50 premium for a booster box above the average value of the top 10. So I did this for all of the sets just to kind of get an idea of where we were at. And I highlighted the ones with the best value and the ones that were underpriced. And then down here, it says case price to single box premium. So I calculated what is the premium price that you pay for a case over a single box. So you can tell right here, first chapter, right? It's not so much about the cards within it. What's driving the first chapter premium prices is really the speculation on its long-term collectability and value rise proposition, right? People are saying, hey, I think that this set is going to, in 10, 15 years, it's going to be like base set Pokemon, or it's going to be like Alpha Magic the Gathering, or whatever other analogy you want to use for an old card game that has a long history. I think people that are doing this, it's a pure speculative kind of like gamble play because no offense to anybody who loves this game, but like TCGs have a hard time getting past 5 years. They have an even harder time getting past 10 years. They have an even harder time becoming a multi-decade phenom like Pokemon and Magic. So I hope that this game is extremely successful for long term. I think that's why we're all looking at it. We're all talking about it. We're all buying the product. But there is more risk to this. And so comparing it to a first set of Pokemon, I think is a little bit ambitious. All right, so anyway, so there's a premium there. But then we can look at all these other ones, right? Like Floodborne booster boxes 175, Inklands 100, Ursula 100, right? And we go through this and it's kind of like, well, why? All right, well, let's look. Inklands, the average. And again, just to remind you, what I did is I went through every single one of these and I didn't just click like what was shown here, right? I went to near mint These are all near mint. I would click on it. I would go through here. I would look at the data. I'd see what it's sold for, right? This is a 9.5, so we can kind of exclude that. So it's around one, let's call it 190, 80, 185 was the highest sale. Most of them are around 150 or less. Obviously, people are buying into FOMO and hype. So this one's card's probably like 175 bucks. I probably put 200 just to be generous, right? Just on some of these things. So I rounded up a little bit. I rounded down a little bit. Like it's pretty damn solid. You can go do this all for yourself if you don't trust the numbers. But anyway, I wanted to prove a point because I've been talking to people. It's like, just because it's cheap doesn't mean it's a good value. Just because it's cheap doesn't mean it's like the next best play. So I went through it and looked at it. So here we go. Let's do some stuff here. All right. So Ursula, let's take Ursula, for example. Case for 450. A lot of people will tell you that, you know, Inklings is a good buy, or Ursula is a good buy, or Azurite C is a good buy. Well, are they? Like, let's get some empirical data out here to say, are they yes or no? Okay. And remember, all of these cards, all these enchanteds, all these sets have been under a few like weeks, if not a month, of pretty much extreme hype, euphoria, FOMO. So a lot of these prices are currently elevated, and I would expect, honestly, a lot of these prices to come down over the next few months, again, as people exit positions, as people take profits, as people list items for sale that were in binders because they see the opportunity to make some money, right? Like, that's kind of the ebb and flow of TCGs. So here we go. All right. The total value of the top 10 cards is $920 in Inklings. The total value is $1,200 in Ursula. Azurite's $1,000. Like, those three right there, you can just see the top 10 cards values is very, very low. Okay. It's very low compared to other things. And I didn't bring in the iconic sets because those just kind of blow everything out of the water. All right. Look at Jafar. $2,735 of the top 10 value. The average top 10 value is $273, but the box is selling at $195. To me, this screams opportunity. This screams to me that these boxes should probably be closer to $250. Okay. I know it's not a huge increase right now. It's like a 25% increase right now, but let's just be real. Like this box was $100 like 2 weeks ago, and now it's $200. I do still think that this box should probably breach $250. Why? I mean, you just go look at it. Look at the top cards. The top 10 cards are absolute bangers with some of the great characters of all these iconic movies and such from Disney. Lots. I mean, like, It Means No Worries is it's not even a character card. It's an action card. It still has such beautiful artwork, and it's got the main characters, and it's being hyped up. People are all in on that. All right. So that one looks like a screaming deal to me. If I'm going through here and I'm looking for other deals, what I did was I looked and I said, okay, what's the difference between the box price, right, and the cards inside? So if I'm looking at these two right here, these are pretty good. These are pretty good values right here. And then the case. So this is an interesting one. Acacia is an interesting one. So the reason Acacia is like this is there were sales, right? If I go here, there were sales at $650. That's insane, isn't it? The single boxes have to catch up to these cases. If these cases are selling for $650, right? There's none on the market. So there's no cases of this on the market anymore. But if I go to the booster boxes, right? The booster box is $99 plus $16.99 shipping. So let's call it like $115, $120. Okay, $120 right here for 4. Look, if you just buy 4 of these, right? If you buy 4, I understand that you're not getting a sealed case. So there is always a little bit of a premium for a sealed case. However, you're getting these for like $425 after, whatever, shipping, and then you add tax, whatever. So let's call it $435. You can get 4 boxes. So essentially you get a case worth of product for $435 of Acacia's Island. And if we go back here, right, the booster box case currently is already selling for $650 plus. Like it's selling for $650. So we can say that's good. There's a massive premium. There's a very large premium over the case price. So these boxes, in my opinion, have to get up to, I would say, probably $150 would be conservative. I would say probably $175. And then if you look here, it's also got a very solid valuation. So the value of the average top 10 cards is $156. So just based on that alone, right? Like, you could, in theory, buy these at 100, right? Rip them. And if you pull any of like the top 10 cards, you pull some of these top 10 cards, you have a good chance of getting like a pretty good amount of your value back. And not even including if you were to sell like legendaries or cold foil legendaries or whatever, like there's other things of value in these boxes besides just the top 10 chase hit cards. So the problem is obviously you're not guaranteed an enchanted, right? And if you're not buying a sealed case, your chances of getting an enchanted probably goes down pretty significantly, because I bet a lot of these people rip cases, right? They pull out they get an enchanted, then they pull the rest of the box aside for selling solo boxes, right? Doesn't mean that there's not something in there, but it means it's probably lower. But I think this one, screaming opportunity right here on Acacias for these boxes to catch up to the booster box case premium price. So yeah, I'm looking at probably 175 for that. I'm looking at a target of 250 for Jafar. Ursula, like, I'll be honest, I just don't see the value. I don't see the value in Ursula. I don't see the value in Inklings. I don't really see the value in Floodborn. I think Floodborn is overpriced. Look, right here, this red means that you're paying a pretty significant premium over the average value of the top 10 cards. Now, could these cards continue to go up? Maybe, but if you look at them, like, honestly, I'm not that impressed. Like, I'm not that impressed with the characters. You have two, man, I'd say four. I'll be fair, four. Anna, great, good character, but not the prime character, right? It's not Elsa. Piglet, getting a little bit of hype from Winnie the Pooh, especially Winnie the Pooh in the next set, it looks like. Piglet's in the next set as well, which is going to give another version of Piglet. So, I don't know. Again, some of these cards have bounced recently, but I'm just looking at this. Again, I'm looking at it objectively. I'm looking at it with a evaluation in mind, not just a random close my eyes, throw money at everything that's cheap and expect it to go up. I think the two biggest opportunities right here are Acacia and Jafar. Also, I think that they're not going to be reprint targets because they're out of rotation, right? They've been out for a while. There's Ravensburger, like, there's limited print capacity, there's limited paper, there's limits to all these schedules and stuff to get onto print product. They also have to create the new products, right? And they have to bring out the new stuff. So if they're not going to reprint something that's just been kind of idle at $100 a box for 6 months, they're going to print something, right? Like Fabled, like Attack of the Vine, or not Attack of the Vine, Wilds Unknown, right? They're going to print that stuff because that's new, current. It's popular, it's popping. They want to bring the prices down to make it more affordable for people to get into the game, et cetera, right? Dish Pro needs to get some to their LGSs, all that kind of stuff. So that's what I'm looking at. Let me know what you're looking at. I mean, Shimmering is close. However, it's kind of already got the value. I think you could argue, right? Like, I mean, just look at Shimmering Sky's top 10 values compared to Jafar's. $1,000 difference in the average price. And yet, look at the price of the boxes are about the same. I think Shimmering's getting a little bit of false hype. I think Shimmering's probably at a fair value right now. I think Jafar probably needs to be 250. I think Acacia probably needs to be 150 to 175. Shimmering, I think, is fair. First chapter, I think, is overvalued currently. Now, that could pay off people, as the supply goes out in long term, that could play off. But I think that this is currently overpriced right now. Bloodborne seems to be a little bit overpriced, if not fair value, like probably a little bit over. Like, that's where I'm looking at. I don't see the value that other people do. Tell me I'm wrong. It's okay. Anyway, let me know what you guys are seeing. I just wanted to put some objective data out there. This is how I kind of look at things. Where's the value proposition? Like, what is actually in demand? What actually has value today? Not just what does people want to push because it's cheap and they have like 2 cases of it, right? All right, boys. Appreciate you guys. Have a wonderful day. I'll talk to you later on.